Hello again, and welcome back to Bad Movie Review. You know, there are times in life when you just feel like going on a murderous rampage. Well, that's what happened to Thana. Thana's a meek and mousy mute. She's a garment seamstress who is driven to a homicidal rage after being raped twice in one day. She manages to kill her second rapist. Then she dismembers him in her bathtub, like you do. Traumatized by the whole experience, she takes to the streets, dispensing justice with her rapist 45. Yeah, it's pretty much everything that you could say about this movie. I mean, it was directed by Abel Ferrara, who also directed Bad Lieutenant and The Driller Killer. Driller Killer I will be reviewing at some point in the near future. Bad Lieutenant's on my list, but it's a little ways off. So there's a track record of vigilante-type movies from this director, but it also was made in 1981 at a time when vigilante pictures were kind of still the rage. I mean, we had Death Wish, all four of them in the 70s to 80s, and a dozen others that are, probably worth naming, but I'm not going to right now. Let's focus on this one. This movie is pretty impressive, actually. The acting's good. The production value's pretty good. It looks a little cheesy by today's standards, and it was kind of a B movie back in the day, but it's a very popular one. And it's got a lot of fan base over the years. Now, I think a lot of this is due to Zoe, her last name became Lund after a while, but it was Zoe Tamerlis. She went on to become Zoe Lund, but a lot of the praise focuses around her because her character's mute, but her face is very expressive. And interestingly, she died from drug-related heart failure in Paris, France, in 1999, which is really sad. She had a serious heroin addiction and later a cocaine addiction that is believed to have contributed to her death. But she was about 17 at the time of the filming of this movie, so she was incredibly young. Oh, incidentally, she also was the co-writer of the movie Bad Lieutenant, with the one that had starred Harvey Keitel and was directed by the same director. She did address the, quote, pro-woman aspects of this film. Let me read you a quote here. As to the film being pro-woman, I go beyond that by saying the film is as much pro-woman as it is pro-garment worker. Whatever. And, honestly, I find that hysterical. Because, the movie really isn't some sort of feminist epic. It really isn't. It's more about a descent into madness. That quote is from Exploitation Retrospect on dantennant.com. You can find it on our Wikipedia page. The movie is like I was saying, not pro-woman necessarily. It's about her descent into, I think, mental illness or post-traumatic stress disorder. She's clearly getting more disturbed as the movie goes on, and Zoe Lund did an excellent job portraying that. Just the facial expressions. Since there's no communication verbally, she had to act out, and she did a really good job. And Thana racks up a pretty impressive body count for an 80-minute movie. I mean, she's got 16 kills, roughly. There might be one more in there. I wasn't really paying that close of attention, honestly. But about 16 kills is pretty good. That's impressive. She does get quite a few of them at one time, to be fair. But, yeah, overall, this movie, if you like Death Wish or vigilante films, this might be up your alley. You're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. I think that most people, your average person, probably isn't going to like this movie. Despite the fact there's no nudity and fairly minimal swearing. And it's really not that gory. There is blood, but it's not gruesome and over the top. It's just not a movie most people are going to want to see. Now, there are two versions of this film. There's an R-rated version and an X-rated version. My understanding is the X-rated version is because of the violence, and it was toned down to get it an R rating. I didn't see anything that would indicate that there would be more nudity or anything like that in the X-rated version. I think it's more out of the violence aspect and the killings, because the killings are done very stylistically. Occasionally, somebody reeling backwards, getting shot, that sort of thing. So just be aware there are different versions of the movie. Personally, I don't think it really matters from what I've read and seen of the extra footage. It doesn't really change much. So I recommend this one if you like the exploitation type movies or vigilante movies. It's in the same vein as The Brave One and Death Wish. Death Wish, I think, is a little bit better as far as story goes. Like, it's got a greater story arc, but this movie definitely has the same similar feel, and it does have a more character development, I would say. But this one is more like a woman going crazy, as opposed to somebody out hunting criminals to get revenge. Thana kills more indiscriminately. Yeah, most of the people she kills aren't exactly good people, but she kills some innocent people too. People that did nothing to anyone. Yeah, she killed a pimp, but she also killed some partygoers. So there's no distinction. She's just an indiscriminate spree killer. Whereas Death Wish, he had more of a driven narrative to it. This is just a descent into mental illness. So I think it was good on that front. For what they were trying to do, they did a great job. And it's one of the better vigilante revenge films out there. So, especially from the 80s. So I'd give it a big thumbs up on that front as far as like action and gunplay. Because, gunplay usually makes films sell. So from that aspect, it really worked out. That being said, this movie is definitely not going to be for everyone. It doesn't have the rah-rah feminism that a lot of the feminist and SJW crowd might want. And if anything, I think it would probably be counter to the narrative that they would want to portray, because she comes off as although she is strong in the sense that she is transformed by her awful experience, it is not a healthy strength. It is more, like I said, the mental breakdown aspect of it. She becomes weaker by getting the gun and killing these people. It doesn't help her overcome what happened to her. She doesn't develop in that respect. She just descends into murderous rampages and kills people that had nothing to do with what happened to her. And she did dismember a guy and was dumping his body parts all over the city, which is pretty messed up. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this isn't for everyone. So don't get your hopes too high. It's a interesting historical film for context, and if you like vigilante revenge films, or movies about people going crazy, this would be a good one for you. But like I said, it's going to be a tough sell. You can't talk someone into watching this. So I'd recommend checking the trailer out. It's online. Amazon has this streaming, so you can watch the trailer on Amazon. And I'm sure it's on other streaming services. You could get it on DVD. It's kind of hard to find on DVD, but it was on VHS because it is an older movie. So you might have a little trouble finding it on DVD and especially on VHS, but it is on streaming services. I think Amazon had it for about $8. So I would watch the trailer, see if it's something you might be interested in. So if you like revenge films, like I said, this might be a good one for you. Vigilante films, same thing. But it does have that exploitation feel from the 80s. So there's that too. So if you kind of like Shaft, the original one, not the remake, and Death Wish, it might be kind of up your alley, but this is a tough sell for people that aren't into those kind of films. So if you like vigilante films, get it. And I'm going to wrap it up there because I'm repeating myself a lot now. But yeah, check it out if you're into that. If you're not, this one might not be for you. In the meantime, check out some of my other reviews and have a conversation in the comments section. Thanks for listening.